Hello, and welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to be giving you 3 tips to better your game sense. What we're doing is kind of like simulations again, like I was saying a little bit ago, is we're doing simulations. She's going to be planting, and then I'm going to initiate the retake, right? So something that I kind of want for them to have on this game that CSGO has is you can make like community lobbies, and it's like coded so that it's only retakes. And it's actually kind of fun, and it helps you get better at retaking a site and learning how to think like the enemies. Some of the biggest things that you have to know is, like, depending on where the spike is, there's only certain places where they can be. So for example, if it's planted here, it's most likely that she could have someone showers, like if there's multiple people that you're going up against, right? It's either that someone can be showers or she will be showers, or the only 2 other possibilities, if it's planted here, it's that they be obviously here in the cubby or in this general area somewhere.
Spike planted.
So it seems like she planted for showers. So you always want to check here because of the bench. We haven't gotten any contact from the turret. We have that contact. I put a smoke there. I will go to hash. It might be in showers. Yep. No, I cooked it. I'm surprised I didn't wallbang her there, but... So, let's kind of run it down and talk about what happened. So, as you guys can see, because of where the utility was placed, I've come to realize that she was most likely going to be showers. But to protect myself from my right-hand side of sight, I put down that smoke that covered me from short/lamps, just so that in case she was over there, she had no line of sight, and she would have to push up to try and pierce through the smoke to get me. And then I smoked off the spike, because that's what you're supposed to do whenever you're going to go for the defuse. To smoke the spike, never where you think they might be, which I thought she was showers. So like I said, I'm going to try and hold to half, and then I'm going to peek. But as you can see, the mistake that I made is trying to go for the wallbang, which didn't end up working out and ended up biting me in the butt. Another thing that is fixed later is unlimited ammo. I didn't realize that we had turned that on. There we go. So now we know it's planted here, giving a second just so that she can get the plant off, and I can actually... So if you hear it go down, usually you won't need to smoke this knowing they're not going to be there, right? You want to make sure that you're clearing for things. Okay. Where is that? So, as you can see... Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start off the round here. Just jiggle peek, make sure no one's back elbow, or just in that back corner. But I usually would smoke that if there was more than one person alive, but since it was only Katie, and she had just planted, I knew that she couldn't have made it all the way over there yet. A lot of people might wonder why I'm shooting these like position. It's just to try and tempt them to peek me if they are behind where I am shooting through. And then here, I was going to smoke elbow, but I decided to smoke spike to be a little bit more aggressive. But my number one mistake here was not smoking anything else with my other smoke, because here I could have been punished if she did happen to wrap backhaul. And then I could have been punished from somebody that could have been hookah. As you guys can see, I'm going to step out after faking. Doesn't see anybody hookah, doesn't see anybody coming out long. I see the shots finally coming through. I peek and kill. But I could have been punished in many different ways. So just make sure that you guys use your util, unlike I just did in this video. Another thing is I think she thought that I destroyed her mollies, even though I didn't. Or they were just placed in a bad spot. Alright, next time, this is the next round, we're going to try and clean it up a little bit. Because that was a little bit sloppy. Not necessarily on how on how I played it. Because me coming out of the smoke like that, I could have smoked something else off. There was way too many things, like angles that she could have taken. So, we're going to try and clean it up on this round. Not be as sloppy. It sounds like she planted somewhere around truck. So, we're going to go ahead and take heaven. Primarily just to... So now we know that she could be short, or she could be could be short or she could be lamps. So as you can see there, I was only assuming that she was going to be in one of those two positions. You saw me look back behind me because of the fact that she could go around and end up walking out on you as you're trying to defuse. But by putting the one-way there, it kind of gives her pressure to swing into it, because I am defusing it, destroyed the mollies. But as soon as I saw that she wasn't coming out from short, I realized that the only other place she could have been was in lamps. So that's what you kind of want to have going through your head. Okay, let's go ahead and go over this. We heard the spike go down nearby truck, so we have that info. One of the reasons you don't want to go through CT when you're clearing when it's planted for truck, especially in a situation if it's one versus multiple, not just necessarily of 1v1, but you know that she couldn't have made it super close, but could be lamps on you, right? But if it's not 1v2, there's a turret there and it's planted for truck, someone might be right outside of that CT entrance, which is your spawn entrance. So that's the reason that I chose to go heaven. Even though that turret does give away my position, they'd be stuck in that corner if you came out of heaven. So here I walk up, destroy my mollies. Here once I tap it, I check short, not peeking. She wouldn't have too much space to move from cubby, so it kind of just gives away that she decided to go lamps. Now, hear me out though. Just because I had the read on her doesn't mean that in other situations, especially in hiring situations, that they couldn't have been short and decided to wrap all the way around the showers. Now, here's why. By me taking out the turret early on, there's nothing holding her from rotating far anymore, because if she rotated too deep in towards her spawn, the turret would disable to be able to make it all the way to showers. Therefore, now the cage is able to wrap to showers. So what you would want to do and make sure that you have the spike, that way you can check again if you wouldn't have killed her like I did for showers or even back truck, because they could be walking out on you. So it also all depends on timing. Just make sure that you're keeping yourself aware of different situations if they aren't peaking. So now it's my turn for the attack portion. So you always want to think of what you want to do before you even get to site. So while you're on your way to site, you want to think where you want to place your util, where you want to plant the spike. Also, depending on how many teammates you have, depends on where the best position for the spike is, especially if you guys have control of site. So what I did is I placed my turret for early info from short and from CT, realized that she's coming from CT, back up into showers. I hear that wingman is going to be used, so I try to go for the molly kill on the wingman, thinking that she used it for the spike, which she didn't. She used to find info on me and succeeded with it. So I decided to back up and waste her time. She destroyed my second molly, so I kind of have to re-aggress and pre-fire where the spike is so that she thinks that I'm trying to attack. As you see, it ended up working. She ended up not trying to stick it to even to half, and I ended up getting the elimination. But now, the reason that I say you want to think about position where your spike is and where you're going to put your util is because if you have teammates, depending on where you put your util, it can be very useful for your teammates as well. So with that turret, it's a super beneficial turret, because if one of your teammates decide to be aggressive and play towards their spawn or playing in U-Haul, it's going to let your teammate know if they are coming out of spawn, they can also peek right as your enemy's trying to shoot the turret. If they were to be in U-Haul and you had that turret up and they come from short, it'll give away that information to your teammate, which to where they can hide or try and peek with your turret again. Also, it's just beneficial to you getting an early warning on where they might be trying to approach from. Just remember, it's super important where you plant the spike and where you plant your util to better the info that you can get for yourself or for your teammates. And also, depending on where you plant the spike, it might be better to plant in different locations depending on where your team is playing. All right. Welcome back. So tip number two on what are some good ways to better your game sense is by knowing abilities and what are their limitations, what you can tell by who's playing on what site, so on and so forth. For example, Sentinels, whenever they place down a trap, a tripwire, or they place down the alarm bot, the turrets, for example, the killjoy, you can only be a certain distance from it. So if they are inactive, then you know that killjoy is not going to be around that area. So that probably gives you a good indication that you're dealing with one less person. As you can see, we have the killjoy alarm bot here deactivated, which means, killjoy's not here. So when you're coming in here to clear, you can kind of go through. We can see that the turret is also not active. So then we know that the killjoy won't be here. So far we can keep going up for our contact lurk, going in for your contact lurk, and this is a good way to tell your team like, hey, I'm pretty deep into A. Go ahead and try and rotate. Killjoy's not here. She already rotated. Only possible that there's one person here. Let me just pause the timer. If you're going to want to playing in here can be really difficult if they have agents like Raze, Neon, Viper, any flash agent in general as well can kind of like mess you up unless you have someone that's playing with you. So if you're going to play here, I always recommend having someone play here. That way they're your anti-flash or your anti-util person. So if they say happen to flash you, right? Because they're playing here, they're sitting here, aiming here. If as soon as a flash goes off, you tuck into your corner, this person swings, shooting at whoever's pushing you, okay? But only play in here if there is somebody playing with you, because if not, you can end up pretty dead again. But you have to just pay attention to the util. If they have no one that can clear you with their util, then you are free to play here. And I wouldn't necessarily always sit right on the corner unless, again, you have someone with you. I'd always sit a little bit off the corner, because what people will normally do, they won't do what a lot of the better players will do, which is slowly clear every possible angle. They'll most likely like come here, run in, and then they'll start they'll be in the process of churning to shoot you in the corner, but you'll be here, right? So what they'll do is they'll do this. So they'll try and like adjust to where you're going to be, which is around here, when they're coming around the corner to shoot here, okay? So again, paying attention to utility is huge. Same thing goes for for example, let's say you're on offense and the enemy team has a brimstone. If they call it out, right, like if you and your team make a lot of noise here and this gets smoked, but this doesn't get smoked, the shower's entrance, then you know that the brimstone is not going to be in this half of the map. This half of the map, because the brimstone needs to be a certain distance from where he's smoking. So then if that second smoke comes a little bit later, once you guys are already into sight, then you know that brimstone is still rotating in, okay? So that's another giveaway. Another giveaway can be like if there's a Viper Molly, if there's a flash, and if there's a KO knife, right? Let's say you hear or see a Phoenix Molly or a Phoenix Flash, and you also have a KO knife that goes off at the beginning of the round, or a Viper Molly goes off because, you know, like you guys are trying to rush, so a Viper Molly goes down. Then you know that those three players are within range, right? Then that gives away 3 possible players. So if you get that info, then you can use that to be like, hey, maybe we should rotate right now while they think that we're going to hit here. You always want to try and leave one person to sell that the fact that you're still going to try and take sight, so you don't notice like when you're trying to rotate out. You want to make sure that you're walking away. That way you can sell that you're still making an attempt to hit this site, so that they possibly only leave one person on the other side, which is called an anchor. Okay, so with that info that you guys now have, just make sure that you guys use that in your guys' next game. Next, our final tip will be map knowledge or map info in general. So the first thing I have to say is the cone, the visual cone. As you guys can see on the map, what I can see is in my visual cone on the map, and I will zoom in. It's all on the map. You can see the whitened portion of cone in front of me, and it's what's visible to me. So at the moment, because of this, I can't see the turret, because the hitbox of the turret is right here, I believe, if I'm correct, for your visuals. So that's why if I fall, it's no longer, even if I can see the top of it, it won't show up on your map. So boom, there you go. So you can see the map is now letting you know, and your teammates know, that there's a turret there. Even if you jump spot it, even if I do the jump spot, it'll pop out on the map, and that can give you some great info. The info of having visual on players. As you guys can see, she is currently in my visual line of sight. She's in my cone. I can see her on the map. It even has a killjoy icon. And then same thing with the jump spotting. Stay right there. You can go ahead. You can always see pros will jump spot and they will show up. As you guys can see, if you're too quick, it will only show the basically the question mark left over after the icon. Okay, so yeah, just make sure that you guys are using this skill, not necessarily the fact that jump peeking, yes, you can get better at it, make sure you practice it, but make sure that you guys are using the information of your map to the best of your abilities to win the round, especially when it comes to spotting multiple enemies, or for example, let's say that you're on a team that your teammates aren't talking, which kind of sucks sometimes, right? Especially if you're playing smokes, because if you're playing certain agents, whenever you use your smokes, you don't get them back, right? Kind of like how Omen does. So if you're playing Brimstone, for example, and you drop 2 smokes, one for shower, one for short, which you should be smoking up there, then if your teammates peek, they see only one, you only see one on the map, and then they're like, oh, can you smoke? Can you smoke? They're here. They're here. That could be a total fake by just seeing one. So it's always fake, because what I end up doing as Astra sometimes, because my teammates are talking, I wait to get map contact, how I can see our friend Katie there on the map from my enemies, from my teammates' point of view, and then I use the concuss and the suck while they're trying to rush into a site to help my teammates take those fights with a little bit less of having to risk their lives. So yeah, keep that in mind. Make sure you use the map knowledge, and that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this helps improve your game sense in your next upcoming games. Make sure to leave a comment down below if this did help you and if you learned something new today. Also, I did forget one tip about the map. Whenever the spike is planted, if you don't know how far you are from the spike to make sure to not die from the explosion, the best way to know is if you look at the map, whenever you're running, you see that there's a circle, which is the circle that lets you know how far someone can hear you or footsteps when you're running. Now that same circle, if you stand with the spike at the outer edge of that circle, that means that you are now far enough from the explosion. So keep that in mind. But besides all that, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you guys leave a like if you guys did, and leave a comment on what other type of videos you guys would like to see, and if this one helped you out. Also, if you guys have any agents in specific that you would like to learn or you would like to see me play, leave a comment down below with what agent, and I will try and make a video on how I play the specific agent. Starting in episode 7, Act 1, I'm also going to do a challenge where everybody in the community decides what agent I'm allowed to play in comp, and only that agent. So make sure that you guys come in, comment down below, or join the Discord to let me know what agent you would like me to play. And besides that, make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications, because I'm uploading every single week. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.